All right, welcome everyone to No Lowballs, I Know What I Got, which is the pilot episode of the official TV show of Infinite Armory. Please welcome my guest today, who is I have some notes here.
All right.
Christ follower.
Amen.
Husband for
Yes.
how long?
18 years.
18 years. A dad of 7 kids. I said that right. A multiple entrepreneur. Black belt. Former SEAL. 14 years of which was in some group that develops stuff.
That's correct.
And now is a business owner with multiple businesses, which we will talk about later. Bill Rapier.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm supposed to, a real TV show, I would have you walk in, but I was worried, I would trip on stuff when I stand up and shake your hand. So I don't know.
This is good.
We'll figure it out as we go. So, okay, let's get into it. I know you have done quite a few of these podcasts before, and I've watched a few of them, and you have a pretty interesting backstory as a kid. So from what I remember, you were a missionary kid from as early as you can remember. That's kind of what your parents' gig was.
Yep.
Still is to this day. Okay, phenomenal. And you, again, from what I remember, you did a good amount of your childhood in Germany. And then Swaziland?
Swaziland, yes.
Okay.
Now called Eswatini.
Okay. So Europe and Africa as a child, and somehow you still end up in the United States military, and not just the military, but a pretty high tier work life. Kind of walk over like how that happened. Like I think what I'm fascinated in is, when I think of if someone was living in Germany and Africa, your exposure to Americana and the American military might not be as much as someone living here full time. How did you get exposed or even become aware that was a career that you wanted to do?
Well, I mean, number one is just truly believe this is how God made me.
Okay.
As far as my parents would talk about, everyone has different bents in life, different things that you're predisposed to do. And for me, it's always been military, fighting, shooting, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
As far as just the, having a very American identity, I would say that a lot of times when you're overseas, you have more of that. I remember, I learned to read and write in German schools before I did English.
Okay.
I remember at a certain point, when we'd lived in Germany for a while, looking at it and going, wow, I've actually lived in Germany longer than I ever did in the States. And that bothered me because I had a deeply, American identity.
Okay.
And I do remember one day making a decision going, you know what, I'm an American. I'm going to start thinking even in English. Because I was thinking in German, right? All my friends were German. I spoke German all day, and then at home, sometimes I'd speak German, sometimes I'd speak English. I just remember making a decision, no, I'm going to make an attempt to think in English.
Okay.
When we lived in Swaziland, sometimes you would hear people talk about, the old British colonies and the people in the colonies were more British than the British.
Yep.
And I would definitely say that was true, especially in Swaziland. I mean, I wore school uniforms and we had assembly and sang songs. It was very British school kid type stuff. And I think to some extent there was that going on with being an American as well. I mean, living in Swaziland at the time, I could ride my bike to the ambassador's house. The U.S. ambassador to Swaziland. Yeah. I could ride my bicycle to his house and tell the gate guard I'm an American and go in and swim at a swimming pool.
Cool.
And that was just awesome. I just love, and other Americans that lived in Swaziland would do that. And it was just a cool, hey, we're Americans. We would, I really have not enjoyed football a whole lot over my lifetime. Yeah. But man, we would it was pretty cool to get up at, midnight and then drive to your friend's house, and someone was able to get it on satellite, and we'd watch the Super Bowl at like 2 a.m. And it was just like, so there was a lot of like culturally American things that we would do. And it's like, I never watch the Super Bowl anymore. Like, I care less about any of that stuff. But at the time when like that was the thing that would gather other Americans together, so there was,
did you get American Super Bowl commercials? Or would it cut to?
You know what? I don't remember. I think we did get commercials because that was always a big. That's another Americana like the Super Bowl.
I remember
commercial.
The commercials more than I remember the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's great. Okay, so when did you come back to the States then? Like, how old were you?
So the first time where I did actually an English speaking school, I think I was 13 or just turned 13. We came back, went to a private Christian school in Los Gatos, California, for just half a year.
Okay.
And then moved to Swaziland after that, was over there for a couple of years. And then when I came back, I would have been a sophomore. And then that was really when I started school in the States, was, I was 15, right around there.
Okay. And you enlisted right after high school?
Yeah, 2 years later, 17.
Okay.
I was 17. My parents had to sign for me.
That's great.
I know.
Okay, so as it relates to this discussion then, I'd love to hear what was the first time you ever got to go shooting? Was it here in the States or was it international?
Probably would have been in the States. So as missionaries at the time, it was very common. Every 2 years, you'd come back stateside and you'd go on furlough, they called it, and you'd go visit all the supporting churches. So within that, we always had people that were into guns. And I was into guns, so it was a big deal if you got to shoot guns at someone's place. So,
do you remember what the first gun you ever shot was, by chance?
I don't.
Okay.
No. I do remember, memorable things. I remember my uncle had a Daewoo 5.56 that was, I thought was really cool to shoot. And he also had
Korean, right? Is that?
Yeah, Korean one.
Yeah.
And he also had a Steyr AUG, which I thought was awesome. Yeah. Like super cool to shoot.
Super cool. That's great. And did you, every time you came back, so you would shoot, did you do it all the time? Or by the time you enlisted, did you feel like, oh, I'm a shooter already? Or was it like...
Well, yeah, I mean, I would have said, oh, yeah, I can shoot guns, but I knew nothing.
Okay.
It was, because but then when we moved back stateside, then I started actually, accumulating, I had some rifles, had some pistols. I actually remember my mom would write a permission slip for me. I have no idea if this carried any legal weight or not. But I would just drive to a public range. Yeah. And I would have this handwritten note from my mom saying that my son is allowed to have this rifle and shoot, or pistol or whatever.
And this is in California?
No, this is in Colorado.
Okay,
yeah.
Makes a little more sense.
We go up to Rampart Range Road, and there was a public range up there that we could go shoot at.
Sweet.
And,
one of the things I took away from your class was, I think a lot of guys, myself included, look at shooting as fun. It's just fun. I love the history, the engineering behind it. It's just fun to go out, shoot. But when I took your class, I was really impressed with your kind of focus on shooting standards and accuracy. I mean, you really drilled in the accountable for every shot. Did that start back then? Did you sort of have an interest in accuracy, or did that not come till later?
I mean, the accuracy side when I was younger was more, just hunting or but you really don't know what you don't know before you actually start organized training. It would be like someone, that gets a heavy bag and throws some gloves on and just starts punching it, versus someone that goes to a boxing gym and has a coach showing him how to actually throw punches and move and all those things. So it's very much, it's not that the guy that's never had a boxing lesson, it's not that he can't punch someone. Yeah. It's just that it's a whole different level when you start doing it organized, and you're actually thinking and breaking down every aspect of what you're doing. And now we'd say applying LOT, logical order of thought, to every bit of it, and go, okay, well, why am I doing it this way? Okay. Is there actual reason, or is it just well, this is just how I grew up doing it,
Okay.
right? And so it's not always bad not understanding that the LOT behind it, but then also sometimes there's things where you're like, this could be better if I was doing it differently, right? Like maybe I've been doing it in a suboptimal manner, and so that's why we constantly want to go back and analyze, reevaluate, hey, am I doing this in the best possible manner? And I still do that.
Okay.
I mean, there's things that I just recently changed about my draw stroke because over the years I started noticing certain things, and I'm like, you know what, maybe there's a slightly better way of doing this. And I mean, we're talking shaving fractions of a second off.
Yeah.
But if you're into doing this, fractions of a second matter.
Sure. Very cool. All right, so 17 comes around, you get permission to enlist, and you head off to all the Navy stuff, basic training, boot camp, whatever. And I think I heard from another interview you did that you always kind of knew you wanted to be a SEAL. So it's not like you fell into it.
The only reason I joined the Navy.
That's
what I really didn't want to join the Navy.
Yeah.
But I also really wanted to be a SEAL. So that was kind of, you had to do it.
Yeah. Which I find fascinating because back then, we're talking, mid-90s?
94.
94, okay. Yeah. So it's not like the internet was around. It's not like social media was around. How did you even hear about the Navy SEALs? Like, how did that even become a thing that you knew about?
Charlie Sheen.
Okay.
No, I mean, in part, I remember watching the movie, U.S. Navy SEALs with my dad at the movies theater in Mbabane, Swaziland.
Okay.
And thinking, wow, that's cool. I want to rappel and break through glass and then shoot someone with an MP5K.
If that's a real job,
that's pretty amazing. Like, how do I sign up for that?
Okay. All right, cool. Well, before we get into your career in the Navy, I asked you this a little bit before we started, but you've semi-heard of this cloning hobby thing. What's been your exposure to that?
Guys emailing me, asking questions, or guys showing up in class with something clone and showing it to me, and I'm like, cool.
Okay. So you get random emails where people are like, hey, do you remember what grip, what optic, whatever you used on a certain thing or whatever? Okay, cool. Well, I mean, this is where I think a lot of, at least the 3 viewers watching this are going to find interesting. There's a whole subculture out there of people that love firearms from a historical perspective. And even myself, I remember when my grandpa, when I first saw his collection, he sat me down. He had a long career in the Army, but he also collected stuff. And he would sit me down and say, oh, this is the rifle that the U.S. military used in the Civil War, and this is the rifle we used in World War I, and I got introduced to the M1 Garand, World War II rifle, stuff like that. And what's been kind of interesting, I think, in our lifetime is that there was a massive shift, kind of right around early 2000s, I guess, where all this stuff that, if you were into historical U.S. firearms or, thought history was cool, military stuff, you could just go down and buy it. Like, it either got surplused out, so sold to the American market, or, the company that makes it commercially has it available. And right around, early 2000s, there was this massive shift with the AR platform kind of coming online and everything, where all of a sudden, all of these, firearms and rifles and handguns and everything that gets used, instead of being like commercial off-the-shelf stuff, this is all stuff that's like put together in some dark armory somewhere at Crane or inside some cage or whatever, And so it's not like you can just head down to the store and say, hey, I saw this rifle in a photo. I think it's cool. How do I get it? Usually they'll try to sell you on some Daniel Defense Mark 18 or something like that. But it's, if you pay attention to the details, wildly different from, what we saw in the military. So there's this whole subculture out there that loves kind of the chase of looking at the historical stuff that got used, primarily through the GWAT, and building it, essentially saying like, hey, that would be cool to be able to have that in a collection somewhere, be able to take that out and shoot it. It's, got some provenance. It's really a piece of our American history that this rifle configuration got used by this group of guys, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's why, kind of walking through your Navy career, we'll ask some really specific questions that are going to sound super dorky. But that's the thing. There's a bunch of us that just find this stuff really cool, down to what reticle was in whatever scope you used or whatever. It's pretty fun. So, okay. So getting into your Navy career, walk me through how this works. So you go through BUDS. Obviously, you have some sort of SEAL training in there. I know I heard from another podcast that you had some medical training kind of sprinkled in there. When is the first time in that process that you get access to shooting firearms and kit? Like, when do you first okay, I'm not just running anymore, swimming in the pool. Now I'm shooting, like I'm doing cool stuff.
Third fades.
Okay.
In BUDS. I mean, you'll do some basic, quals with 226s, and I think at the time probably model 727s. So
okay.
I don't think we even had M4s at that point. And then the 60s. We did get some intro to some machine gunning.
Cool.
But it wasn't really. It wasn't an in-depth type thing. It was much more like basic, being safe with it. I mean, that was definitely a huge part of it.
Sure.
Especially out on the island, you've got your rifle with you
100%
of the time, and it's all, you're at high port, like the safety aspect is very, very serious about it.
Okay. And then as you get more into SEAL training, does that stuff kind of get swapped out? Like, oh, here's the stuff that I use at BUDS, but now I'm using different
so
stuff.
it was those tools that you use during BUDS. I mean, they just stay.
Okay.
Right. So then you go off and 18 Delta and jump school and everything else, and then you show up. When I showed up at SEAL Team 3, then it was okay. Now you would get issued something else, and actually that would even happen every time. You would get different stuff. When you were in a platoon. Okay. So you'd platoon up, and then as part of your platoon, your platoon would be allocated a certain amount of each type. Okay. And then you would get issued something, from your platoon. Okay.
So what do you recall what that was? Like, I assume you got some sort of M4.
Yeah, it would have been, maybe it was a 727 very initially, but then very quickly it became an M4, because I remember we got the SOP mod kits, so we all had the vertical foregrips, which we all put on and did not know how to use them properly. Right, we're holding on to them like broomsticks, but thought it looked really cool.
Okay. And what about like optics at the time? Like, when you finally get SOP mod kit, are you getting ACOG, EOTech, same?
Yeah, we had ACOGs. We did not have EOTechs. Okay. I don't even remember if there was a red dot sight that was a part of that kit or not. Okay. We did have PEC 2s. Right? Okay. So we had lasers, was a part of that. The light that came with the SOP mod kit was horrible. Yeah. I just remember we kind of looked at it and was like, no. And then we ended up
two lumens.
Yeah. And then we ended up getting just commercial Surefire ones, which the old incandescent bulb, like 6Ps or whatever, which were also horrible. Yep. Had 30 minutes of runtime and barely threw any illume. Yep. But that's what we had. I don't think we even had mounts for them initially for the Surefire ones, because I remember making wooden, taking blocks of wood and hose clamps. Okay. And attaching it to the barrel.
Oh, yeah, barrel.
But yes, but that's what we had.
Okay, yeah, just figure out whatever works. Yeah. So you mentioned PEC 2s. What was the night vision setup at the time? What are you?
The first ones that I remember using was 7 Charlies. Okay. Yeah. So single tube, but with dual, binoculars. Basically.
Yeah. Was it kind of a pretty cool experience? Do you remember putting them on and being like, oh, I can see in the dark? Or were they so terrible that it was
No, I mean, so it was cool to be able to see in the dark, but we did not use the stuff properly. Because we were still so much of the Vietnam lore, and so it was we didn't wear armor unless we were doing CQB. We never wore helmets. Okay. So much stuff that has just really changed. So, we didn't like the skull crushers. So, I mean, I remember making 550 cord lanyards for my 7 Charlies. And, we'd do land warfare stuff at nighttime, and you'd patrol blind through, through the woods or the desert or whatever. Yeah. And then every once in a while you'd pull out your nods and turn them on and look through and then put them away and be blind again and walk through the desert. And so it really took us a while to kind of figure out that, hey, helmet mounted stuff is the way to go. Yeah. And using weapons mounted lasers, like to use a weapons mounted laser, you really need helmet mounted night vision, and that's just what a game changer that is. But we had so much of the men in green faces and like, I just want to wear a bandana while I'm patrolling. So cool. Okay.
Did you kind of figure that stuff out before your first deployment, or by the time you go on deployment, is it still?
So I did two pumps at SEAL Team 3. So pre-war. So we just did stuff, FID in the Gulf. And, I mean, a little bit of stuff, but nothing super exciting.
Okay. And is that, so your stateside training with all this kit, is that all the same stuff that you're taking on those deployments?
The way it would work is they would issue you all this stuff. It was issued to you, but through really more to your platoon. Yeah. And then you would go on deployment and you would have all of your same stuff, and then you get back from deployment and you have to turn it all in, and then you platoon back up again and then go out and do it again. Okay.
Was there a lot of customization going on at the time? Like the stuff you get issued, are you looking at it and saying, oh, I want this on there instead of that? I mean, I guess it's pretty basic light laser optic if you've only got one optic. But are guys really like personalizing it yet, or is it more?
Not a whole lot. Like, I mean, we weren't swapping triggers out. Okay. We weren't. I mean, if it was in the SOP mod kit, and not all of it, because it wasn't like a one for one type thing. So it's like you might only have a couple ACOGs, and so it's like if one was available and you wanted it, you could run that. Okay.
Cool. Is this, did you guys have like sim kits and stuff at this time? Like, are you doing sim training, or has that come way later?
I don't think we did simunition stuff until I got to the command. Okay. I do remember shooting blanks. Okay. And I do remember one time putting Miles gear on. Okay. And it was really funny. One of the guys that was into, he was a sniper, and he set up a block of training called Movement Against a Sniper. Okay. And so I remember we're at Camp Roberts in California, and we're going up this drainage, and it's typical, kind of NorCal, mid-Cal kind of terrain with some trees, nice terrain. And so we were told we had to patrol up this drainage, and it was moving against the sniper, and all it was we're walking, and then all of a sudden we'd hear a pop, and someone's Miles gear would go off, and that just continued. And I think he just wanted to have fun, just shooting at us. So.
Oh my gosh. Do you kind of remember like the first time that you got all kitted up and all the gear on and everything? Like, was it a pretty cool, like, hey, I've made it, like this is pretty neat, like I am Charlie Sheen now?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, like at the very end of Buds, you have like an FTX week where you would do different missions. You still have almost no gear. I mean, literally, we're still having like Vietnam style H, just normal H gear, and you're doing OTB type stuff. But you are like, it was cool. Like you've got your magazines. Obviously, you've just got blanks in them. And, so that was. Yeah, that was definitely a cool thing. Where that's like the first time we were actually modding your gear a little bit, right? And you're like, okay, Alice clips were like a big no-go, like because Alice clips rust, and we, so we would zip tie all of our pouches on.
Interesting.
And so and actually, like, gear-wise, just when I first got to SEAL Team 3, one of the very first things I did was go into the rigger's loft and go find a rigger and say, hey, man, I want to learn how to sew. And because I had lots of ideas for sewing kit up. And I remember, because I could go into the air, as long as you talked with the guys in charge of the air department and got permission, like I could go in there and sew. Like I remember ordering pizza to the quarterdeck at SEAL Team 3, and I'm just in there sewing away, modifying gear, like 10 o'clock at night, and I got pizza showing up at the quarterdeck.
Okay, super cool. Okay, so SEAL Team 3 time frame. I think I also heard on another podcast that you did some sort of sniper school around that time. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to sniper school, my first platoon, and did really good on the shooting and failed because of the stocks.
Okay.
And man, that was a big, like that was a big blow for me. Yeah. Like that was super, I was pretty down about that. And it was just like I still say, sniper school is the hardest school I went through. I thought sniper school was harder than selection. Yeah. And I think that's just different guy. Some guys breeze through sniper school and don't have any issues with it. And, I wasn't one of those guys. I had a harder time with the stocks. Okay. So I ended up going back the following year. So they gave me a scout certificate because I had completed the shooting, and then the following year I went back through and had to do all the stocks over again, and I did well the second time going through.
Is it kind of 50-50 between stalking and trade, whatever, and then shooting, or like is it majority shooting? What's kind of the split?
Well, so you definitely spend a lot more time shooting than you do on the stalking. Okay. I mean, I think when I went through sniper school was 2 or 2.5 months long, so it was right. I think the longest of the sniper schools for all the different services. Gotcha. I mean, we spent the first probably 2 or 3 weeks. All we shot was M14s. Okay. Right. So just iron sights, and you had to do, snaps and movers with M14s, everything. You're dialing wind on your, so that was pretty cool. Definitely gave me an appreciation for that. And kind of cool. We had a bunch of old timers that were, match shooters that would come out and help tune, because the M14 is not the most inherently accurate platform. Yeah, sure. But these guys had it down from shooting matches, so they would come help get everything going properly. Okay. And then we graduated to shooting 308 bolt guns after you passed a certain number of tests with your M14. And then the teams had just gotten Win Mag, so after you had passed, snaps and movers and in distance, both of those tests with your 308 bolt gun, then you got to graduate up to your Win Mag. Okay. That was interesting for me because I had to change the way I shot, right? I remember with the 308 bolt gun, I remember putting the buttstock right on the clavicle the way I was laying. Yeah. And I guess the recoil was low enough and the padding was enough to where it wasn't messing with me. And then I totally had to change the way I shot with the Win Mag because it was, barking a little bit more. And I remember being bruised after the first day of shooting it and having to learn to roll my chest forward a little bit and put a little bit of meat behind the thing versus buttstock directly on clavicle does not work with the Win Mag. Sure.
And I assume distances and stuff are getting further out as you graduate to 308.
Yeah, I think we shot out to 800 with the 308, and then I think we shot out to 1,000 or 1,200 with the Win Mags. Okay. So that's just another cool thing to look back is that was far back then. Yeah. And now when guys, if guys follow just a baseline recommendation for a precision rifle class, generally guys will top out between 12 and 1,400 yards on day one. Guys that have never shot past 100 or 200, if you about 2 to 2.5K worth of kit, shooting a 6.5, they're gonna go 12 to 1,400 yards on day one. Yeah. And with stuff that back in the day it was all custom and tons of shooting to get there, and now it's just the gear is way better, the technology is way better. Yeah.
Do you remember at all what the optics setup was on those guns at the time? I'm trying to think mid-90s, Leupold stuff.
Leupold Mark IV. Okay. Fixed 10 power. Okay. Yeah. Mill dots, old school, what we call dumb mill dots, right? They're not even the hollow mill dots or anything like that. Okay. With minute turrets. Right. Which that was just normal at the time. I remember when mill and minute stuff first came out, and I was Yeah, at first I was actually hesitant because I was like, wait a minute, well, mill adjustments aren't quite as fine as minute adjustments, and and then I saw the light, and I'm like, now looking back, really guys are like, what? You had mill reticles and minute turrets? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And yes, it didn't. Yeah, but that was the standard.
Yeah, it's one of the funny things in the clone community that we constantly get made fun of is we, specifically look for historical stuff that is objectively worse to use. So all these night forces over here that are old stuff from Dev and everything. It's like it's same setup. It's,
I love this. Is a great super cool scope. I had this. By the time I left the command, I had this on every semi gun that I owned. And I have one of these now. And my 1-to-8 is so much better.
So much better. Yeah. It's a constant, you put something together, you think, oh, this is the coolest thing in the world, I'm going to go shoot it. And then you go shoot it. And it's like, man, compared to the stuff that we have now, like it's been an evolutionary technology change, but stuff is clearly getting better.
For sure. But you can make it work with that. I mean, that's a great scope.
Yeah. You
can make it work.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So on the bolt guns, are these, I don't know if you remember that far back, but are they like factory bolt guns, or are these already starting to be kind of custom things with like McMillan stocks? And
so we did have McMillan stocks. They were Model 700s, McMillan stocks on them. I don't remember how much, because being at Team 3, there was not, we didn't have gunsmiths that were doing a whole lot of mods at the time, right? That would have been, I guess, Crane would have been doing that. So there wasn't a whole lot of customizing going on back then.
And I would assume this is kind of like really before like weapon mounted rangefinders are really a thing. So are you doing all ranging with reticle, like on mills? Like, how's that?
Yeah, so that was part of sniper school. Is you had to, the standard was you had to be 200 yards plus or minus 20, and it was all just milling. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was one of the things I had a harder time with initially. Was doing that. No diving boards, no fancy rangefinders, none of that stuff. I think fairly soon we did get rangefinders, but they were big and bulky and not like today where you've got it in your binos. You've got and nowadays you press the button on your diving board and it spits out a solution for you and you shoot it. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, totally. All right, well, super cool. Anything else from Team 3 deployments that you remember gear kit wise that's of note or interesting? I mean, was it all
running MP5s back then too.
Okay,
like we were still for shipboard stuff. We do that.
Was this MP5 SDs or?
That was very popular, but we again, like, not everyone in the platoon could have it. So certain guys, like if you were a point man, you might get an SD. Like I don't think we had anyone running Ks. But no optics on them. Flashlights, I think we did have the under, the Surefire made a replacement foregrip for it. So I think we did have those. I think I had one at one point that had a vertical foregrip on it that that someone had made, right? They had like attached it on there, and like that was super cool.
Did you already have suppressors on your M4s at the time from the SOT mod kit, or was
we did have the cans, but we didn't use them all the time.
Interesting. So the SD was kind of like, if you were running suppressed, was that kind of the...
It was the quietest, but honestly, after we came in, or I came in, right after Somalia, and so the whole, the big lessons were, right, we use real helmets now, we don't shoot glorified pistols anymore, we're going to use a real rifle. So a lot of that kind of was, even when I first started doing CQB, I think on day 1 or 2, we used MP5s, and then it was right to M4s right away, because they're like, you're not, other than ship stuff, you're not going to use MP5s anymore.
Gotcha. And M4s at the time, were these short guys or
14.5s?
14.5s. Yeah. Okay, interesting. And that's and that's what you deployed with, like, both times, like 14.5.
Yep.
And then you'd take suppressor on deployment, but
you'd have it. Sometimes guys would run them, but it wasn't like and we just didn't know as much.
Yeah.
You know, like
Sure.
it takes a little bit of experience before like actually visual signature.
Sure.
Is a really
Starts to
big
become
deal,
a thing,
and the
yeah.
bird cage flash suppressor, mil-spec bird cage doesn't do a whole lot.
Not great.
Or at least, I mean, it's kind of middle of the road
Sure.
as far as flash suppressors go,
Sure.
but it's definitely not suboptimal.
Okay, cool. Well, so again, I think from other podcasts, so Team 3 West Coast team, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're at West Coast, and at some point you hear of another level that you can kind of go up and do, and you kind of become interested in that. So you at some point decide to try out, and walk me through that thought process.
Yeah, so I had no clue, anything. I did not know about DEVGRU when I joined, and then fairly soon after getting to Team 3, I started hearing little rumors, and then had a guy that had actually been at the command in my first platoon, and right away I'm like, oh, there's a place like that. I'm like, that's where I want to go.
Okay,
but I'm a
cool.
new guy, so I can't say that.
Got it.
Because that would be considered presumptuous and so it was. The recommendation was always, hey, just focus on your job. Be good at being a one platoon wonder, or being a brand new guy.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. But in my mind, I was like, that's where I want to go right away. So I started, trying to, get any info that I could. And then as soon as I was done with my first platoon, then I was able to screen.
Okay.
So I screened to go to the command, screened positive, and then right after my second platoon went out east.
Okay, cool. So I assume, clearly you leave all of your kit, or at least most of it, I'm thinking, behind, and you show up and it's all new stuff, right? Because the command kind of seems to run totally different stuff than, SEAL teams do.
Oh yeah. Like it was, we joke about the golden mail van gets opened, and you got a lot of cool stuff.
Okay. So when you showed up, was the kit there already like strikingly different than what you had used before?
Yeah, there's a lot of better stuff, a lot of newer stuff. You would get multiples of it because, I think they were issuing Glock knives at the time. And so instead of just like, here's one knife, but you would have normally 3 or 4 different setups. So now you're like, switching it from setup to setup, they're just like, well, here's 4 knives because we know you're going to have at least 3 or 4 different setups.
Okay, interesting.
And we want you to have a knife, so here's 4 of them so that you can put it on different sets of gear.
Got it. And these setups, these are all for like different styles
missions.
of
Yeah,
missions.
like
that
you might have
on.
one that's like your OTB knife, and another one for a different mission.
Okay, cool. And this is still, what year are we here? This is still pre 9/11?
Yeah, this is 2000 is when I went through.
Cool. And M4 still there?
Yep.
Short or 14.5 still?
You know what? I don't remember if we had 10.5s when we first started, or if we were still doing, through selection, we were still running 14.5s. But fairly quickly, we all were running 10.5s.
Okay. And is everything else still, like, our PVS 7 still around, or is
no?
that
We're
kind of
using
moving
15s at that point.
15s, okay, already, cool. Okay.
Yep, 15s. We had, it was a different helmet than the Mitch. The Mitch was an upgrade like a year or 2 into it.
Okay.
The other, I don't remember what the name of the other helmet was, but it looked different. Well, it actually wasn't as good.
Okay. So are your first few... Did you do deployments there before 9/11 happened? Before the war? Okay. No. So your first deployment post 9/11, were you kind of going out with standard M4 PVS 15s like on that deployment, or did you already start having
so I had
custom...
my first pump in Afghanistan. I had a 10.5 with a Reed Night can like that.
Okay.
I had a fixed 4-power Trigicon.
Okay.
Because I was not a Recce guy yet, so I didn't rate the Night Force scope.
Yeah.
And I had gone to our gunsmiths and asked them to make a mount for me to put a red dot on top.
Okay.
And so I know other guys were putting red dots on top of, bigger glass before, because that's where I got the idea from. But I had not seen anyone do it on
an ACOG yet.
On an ACOG yet. So they pulled the rear side off for me, and they machined a piece of aluminum and put a piece of pick rail on there. And I was calling that the superior optics. And you're running chin weld like this for your dot and then down and, you know, all sorts of issues with those early red dots that we had, you know, the doctors and the J points and whatnot. And they were not very, didn't hold zero, right? They weren't super rugged.
Sure. Yeah, it blows me away sometimes when, you know, you acquire this stuff looking for all the old stuff or whatever, and you finally get the first one and it's plastic, you know.
They're horrible.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it was considered a consumable item.
Yeah, okay. The other kind of funny thing about that is that it just always blows my mind is some of the stuff you guys were doing back then, like throwing a red dot on, you know, an ACOG. I mean, that's like a commercial offering now. You know? Like, it's like,
I feel like I should be getting royalties.
Totally. You 100% should. Yeah. The true definition of developing stuff is pretty cool. Okay. So you've got, M4, PVS 15s, any complaints with that stuff, or at that point, are you like, hey, this gear works? Like, it's
didn't know any better. I mean, but yeah, it was great. Like, I mean, still good gear. I mean, like you can get some work done with a PEC 2 and a set of 15s. Like that's still a good setup.
Okay, cool. So you're still running PEC 2s at the time.
Yep.
If you are doing any shooting under nods, it's all active stuff at that point in time? Like, are you primarily
we weren't
laser?
even tracking on passive shooting. Like, I mean, it was laser light show back then. Like, because we weren't, you know, we weren't thinking about, well, the enemy might have night vision. And initially they didn't, or was very, very limited. It wasn't until later in the war that we started taking the passive shooting a lot more seriously.
Okay, very cool. So how long after do you kind of move into like the recce side of things?
It was probably 3 deployments into it.
Okay.
3, maybe 4 deployments into it. Yeah, it was that was another thing I wanted to do right away. Like, I looked up to the guys that were in Recce, and there was a bunch during, you know, my initial time. There was a bunch of good guys there, and like that's what I like doing hard stuff. And the Recce guys were doing hard stuff and staying out, you know, just doing harder stuff, and it looked like a good challenge. So, after a few years, I was able to go Recce.
Okay, cool. This photo that we have here, one of the more famous photos that's on the internet of you.
Yes.
This one here. Is this pretty soon after?
No, that's pretty close to the end of my Recce time.
Okay, right, interesting. Yeah. Okay. It's interesting. This is one of the photos that gets passed around a lot as sort of a reference to the rifle setup that is pretty unique. I mean, like, if you're using short M4s before that, kind of standard somewhat off the shelf stuff or SOT-mod or whatever. But I think when guys first saw this kind of setup, everyone's like, what is that thing? How did that come to be? Like,
again, the beginning of the war, and our guys just saying, hey, we want something that's going to be a little bit more accurate, because mountains in Afghanistan and the potential to have to shoot further, and our gunsmiths just started putting stuff together for us. You know, that was the cool thing about the command, is we had really, really good gunsmiths. Okay. And you could go and talk to them, and right, as long as, you know, they would make sure everything was legal. Yeah. And you know, and they would modify stuff and make it really good. And
are these civilian guys, or are they
both civ and there were some mil guys as well, but most of the guys were civ.
Okay, super cool. And do you know their background? Like, did they come from like a long gunsmithing background, and then
they were all very, very experienced guys. Okay, very experienced.
Super cool. Yeah. Okay, so you're on the Recce side of things and talking to the gunsmiths or whatever, and eventually get handed, or I mean, are you involved in the development of this, saying like, hey, no, I want a longer barrel?
No. So basically, like, the guys start asking for it, and you know, that they just start slapping, you know, I think we were using Reed Knight free flow tubes at the time, and I think Krieger or Lyle barrels. Okay. And so they're just putting these guns together, putting better triggers in,
Okay.
and so by the time I get to Recce, there's a little bit of an established standard, and so it's like okay, when you're checking into Recce, they're like, okay, here's your Recce rifle, here's your SR, here's your Win Mag. Like,
okay. And optics at the time, were you kind of still on the Leupold stuff before it transitioned to Night Force, or did you already?
No, so I never ran I know there were some Leupold scopes floating around, but by the time I got to Recce, it was all Night Force, like all second focal plane, like old school stuff.
And the 2.5 to 10 that's in the photo here. Were you guys like primarily doing holds for that kind of stuff on your M4? Like, I assume you're not dialing a ton for shooting far out, or what's the training kind of look like on that?
You would do both.
Combo. Okay.
Yeah, you would train to do both. Yeah, they did have exposed turrets on them.
Okay.
And yeah, you would practice to do both.
Okay. And you get, so you're saying you get M4, some sort of SR25, bolt gun stuff. Did the M4 kind of still, with the longer barrel and everything, become your de facto favorite / standard? Like, I mean, is it just kind of like, hey, this thing works for most everything?
Yeah, I mean, the M4 within the Recce specific, absolutely. The Recce rifle is like what you took.
Okay.
I mean, I carried an SR25 on a few missions in Iraq. Like, I think everyone, all the Recce guys probably went through a phase where they're like, oh, bigger bullet. And then you just realize shot placement matters more than bigger bullets.
Okay.
And bigger guns are heavier, slower to get into action. You can't carry as much ammo. It's just, I only knew 1 or 2 guys that were like diehard SR guys that carried them the whole time.
Yeah. The SRs that you had at the time, do you happen to remember if they were like the super long ones?
So I remember having them actually in sniper school.
Okay.
They were the 20-inch barrel ones with the cans that would slide over. But those didn't have any flash suppressor on it.
Okay.
And so the ones at the command, they all had flash suppressors, and then I do remember getting 16-inch ones.
Okay. And those had the Knights can on them? Yeah. Okay. Super cool. Those specific SR25s are, super crazy hard to get a hold of in the civilian land now, like the short barreled ones and everything. And everybody kind of wants, I mean, they're super cool. Dimpled barrel.
Oh, yeah. I had the dimpled barrel one. I remember thinking it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Super. I mean, it's the stuff dreams are made of when it comes to. It was
missing a forward assist, though. It needs a forward assist.
Okay.
And,
there you go.
We told them that.
Okay. That's some good lore. What about bolt gun stuff at the time? Are you getting a Win Mag?
Win Mags, and all that stuff was in-house that they were doing. I mean, they would start with stock Model 700 actions and true them and barrel them and like phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember testing again, so we were good idea fair. We thought, let's try the AIs because it's a purpose-built gun versus the Model 700s.
Yeah.
And we went out and did a bunch of testing, and we were all like, no, we like our 700s better.
Okay.
It was a lighter gun, and it was actually more accurate. Like the guns that our gunsmiths were building were more accurate than the AIs were at the time.
Cool. And are these 700s still in kind of a standard stock, or are they in like
they're Macmillan stocks?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Were you around when like the aluminum chassis started to come out for the Win Mags and
I was
stuff?
out already.
Okay.
When that started coming around.
Okay, cool. So most of the Win Mag stuff, I mean, in 700, kind of Macmillan stock.
Yep.
Suppressor on Win Mags at the time, or not?
Not so much.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Wasn't as much of a thing.
Okay. And what about optics on those? Are you running
5x25 Night Force?
Okay, Night Force stuff already. Okay, super cool.
But those had the hollow mill dots with the dot inside, so they were kind of like the smarter mill dot. And I do remember like the first Christmas tree reticle that I think it was a Night Force one that we had, and honestly, I didn't like the Christmas tree reticle.
Interesting. Okay.
At first, I thought it was too busy.
Yeah.
And I've definitely come
around to
180 on that. Yeah, I try. I like the any kind of drop down reticle is what I want.
What was the
What was the advantage to the hollow mil dot? Like, what did that get you? Was just better sight picture?
More aiming.
Okay.
Like it's just a finer reference point. So
Okay.
instead of like putting this blob, a full mil dot
Yeah.
on something, like it was a hollow mil dot with a dot on the inside. So it was just
Okay.
a more fine. You could do better measuring with it. You could hold a little bit better.
Okay.
Again, kind of nullified now with the a drop down reticle is just better on every level.
Okay, cool. Back to the Recce M4. So just like in this photo, we've seen a ton of pictures of them with the super long B.E. Myers flash hider on them, which seems pretty cool. And plenty of pictures of those on M4s too from kind of that era. Have also seen a few of them set up with the Knights can on the end. But at some point, we start seeing photos of these things with OPSYNC cans on them. Do you remember when that kind of came around?
I do remember having a setup for a while that had an OPSYNC can on it like that. It was kind of like the Rolls Royce. I mean, the gun just would not move. You could be tracking on someone and shooting, and it just like the gun didn't move a whole lot. Because you had more weight there. It was nice because it was recessed.
Yeah,
that was just a good setup.
It's one of the funniest, this is the funniest stuff that happens in kind of this clone hobby is looking at these photos that are, taken with the oldest cell phone at the time, taken with a potato and trying to figure out what this stuff was. And for years and years and years, everybody thought those OPSYNC cans on those Recce M4s were from the Mark 12 program. So everybody thought that they had like a muzzle brake underneath and, that people were chopping down the barrels and all this kind of stuff. And it wasn't until recently that we kind of found out that it was full, 16.5 inch, whatever barrel underneath those things threaded right onto the muzzle. And I don't know, this might've been after your time. But there's a lot of photos out there of guys throwing those same OPSYNC cans on 14.5 inch 416s later, which is pretty interesting that, I think like for us in the civilian world, it's like, well, they must have liked the can if it had that amount of longevity to, keep going on. So it's kind of cool, but okay, well, that's cool. Walk me through like on the Recce M4 specifically. So you start using this thing, longer barrel, super accurate. I assume you're getting some sort of newer ammo at the time, like 77, 70 grain stuff.
Black House 77.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So walk me through like shooting standards for you guys. What does that look like? I mean, are you like...
So, I mean, you would have some like actual written down shooting standards that you're supposed to be able to do at any time. But honestly, most, the teams are not the most rule following group of people. So it was much more, you would have, within your crew, like we would do a lot of cold bore shots. Like you would go out and you do your cold bore shot because that's your most important one. We do it at different distances. Okay. But that was a big, we'd keep a log book of, how did you, hit or miss on your cold bore shot? If you did hit, where did you hit? If you missed, where did you miss? What were the conditions? Like all that stuff. Okay. And yeah, it was just, you did a lot of shooting. Yeah. Right. A lot of, and honestly, it was mostly prone shooting too. That's another thing that's just so fascinating now. This past week I was doing some medium distance shooting, and most of it off of tripods. Okay. And like we didn't. I had a tripod, but it was a joke. Yeah. It was some, $40 Walmart thing that I jury rigged to
Plastic,
make. It was like I didn't shoot off of it ever. Okay. Because it just wasn't a viable thing. Sure. And now, you've got 4. Good tripods here recording us right now. And I've done standing shots. I think the furthest standing shot I've done was 1040 something down at Altus in Florida with, standing there with a bolt gun. And just really, I tell students, I'm like, look, this isn't, look at me. I'm amazing. Yeah. This is, look at the technology. Yeah. Because if you would have told me this 20 years ago that I'd make a standing shot past 1,000 yards, I would have laughed at you. Okay. And it's not with the right gear, it's just not that big of a deal anymore.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
On the cold bore shot that you're mentioning, did you guys typically see a pretty big deviation from cold bore shot to like when the barrel starts heating up and stuff?
No, and it's so gun dependent, and there's honestly so many little factors. A lot of times there's going to be a small deviation on your first shot, which is why you do it.
Yeah.
You'd always annotate that. All right, like my first shot maybe is going to be low and left, or high and left, or something like that. But there's some stuff where you'll kind of drive yourself crazy if you're like very, very OCD. Because there's a lot of stuff we understand within, internal or with the ballistics, but there's a lot of stuff that we don't understand, and a lot of stuff, or maybe we understand, but we're not even tracking that's going on while the shot's happening. So
here's the question, kind of out of left field, especially on the M4, but even on bolt guns and SR25s and stuff like that. What was kind of the best practice of cleaning back then? Like, were you, every time you're out training, shooting, you're coming back and putting patches through the barrel, or like, or is it like, nah, it's fine, it works, whatever?
I mean, so like overseas, I would always wipe my stuff down, and make sure that it was clean. And in platoon life, you would clean your guns, I don't know, maybe a couple times a week. If you're doing IADs like all the time, you might be cleaning them every day, because you're shooting a bunch of rounds through them every day. So you might finish your day by actually, you got a tub of whatever, simple green or whatever we had to clean with at the time, and you'd clean like that. But no, I mean, it's not like you're more, like when I would clean my rifle at sniper school, I would clean it and I was like paranoid. I did not want to have a clean bore, right? So that's another thing. Guys will differentiate between clean bore and cold bore. And so I would, and this was great that we had the freedom to do this. Like if I thought my rifle needed cleaning, I would clean it, and then I would go back onto the firing line and send a couple more rounds, so that it was never, I mean, just think about it. There's unburnt solvents, lubricants, other stuff on there. And so just, wanted to make sure. I mean, I was very, very, going through sniper school, we did a cold bore shot every single morning. And I was so, consistency is king. So like I wanted to make sure that even the temperature of my cartridge was the same every time. So when I would get it up in the morning, I would take the round, my cold bore round, I would put it in my pocket.
Oh my gosh.
So it would be the same exact, so every time. And some of that stuff you learn, like some of it matters, some of it doesn't.
Some of it might not.
I think it does matter if it's like, I mean, I was shooting this past week, and I mean, the ammo was hot to the touch, because it's been a hot week.
Super hot out,
so that stuff definitely will, right? If you went from like 40 degrees or 30 degrees to 110, that will have an effect. But if it's smaller temperature range, generally doesn't have a whole lot of effect.
It's so fascinating when you think about that. Like even the temperature of the jacket on the bullet, like the copper as it goes down the barrel, it's gotta, I mean, it would have to like change what it's doing and stuff like that. That's fascinating. Shooting as high round count as you guys did, was shooting a barrel out like a pretty common occurrence?
Oh yeah, I remember taking guns to gunsmith, and I remember having some that were actually like not stabilized. This was when I first got to the command, and I was going crazy with it. Like I literally, the first like 3 or 4 months I was there, I shot every single day.
Cool.
Saturdays and Sundays included. I would, my Sunday routine, I would go to church, I would get breakfast, and read the newspaper. How crazy is that? And then I would go to work and shoot. Because I was just like really, really, and I was shooting 500 to 1,000 rounds every morning, before work started. So they like, I've had times when, I've shot out some barrels. Like when the gunsmith goes, oh yeah, like I would turn, talk to the gunsmith, hey, I think something's going on with this thing. And they'd be like, all right, we'll take a look. And I'd come back a couple hours later, and they'd be like, oh man, like at one time they said, it swallowed the gauge.
Oh my gosh.
So, and then you got to go back out and, re-zero, because you can't ever have something not zeroed in. So.
That's honestly probably cool for them. I mean, they spend a lot of time building and wrenching on this stuff. It's probably, it almost reminds me of like a race car mechanic or stuff. It's cool to work on the cars and then see someone actually go use it, what it was meant to do and stuff. So that's pretty neat. On the Recce M4, I know I've heard you talk about this a little bit before, but just like you kind of did with the ACOG, you were putting red dots on the Night Force like pretty early on those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got T1s, and that was way better than any of the open emitter ones.
Yeah.
The T1's actually a great, phenomenal sight.
Okay.
And so having that on there then did allow you to do passive shooting.
Yeah, so that's going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Okay. So T1 on top of Night Force, typical?
I've played around with all the different variations. I've played around with 45 offset.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of 12 o'clock dot.
Okay.
It lets you switch shoulders better.
Yeah.
I can switch shoulders and still, can't, shoot a 45 offset, but it starts just getting a little bit goofy. Also positional shooting. If you're trying to shoot around stuff, underneath stuff, the 45 just ends up being a little bit weirder. Now, the benefit of the 45 offset is your standoff isn't as high, right? Gotcha. With the 12 o'clock dot, sure. your mechanical standoff at 5 to 25 or 30 is significantly higher. It's like 3 inches or 3.5 inches, which is it is harder to make a good credit card shot with that than it is with a normal 156 height mount.
That was one of my more memorable things that happened at the class that I took with you is I think it's fairly common. I mean, you would know this better than I, but I think it's fairly common with a lot of these training classes and stuff that a lot of the guys that show up, they may take their rifle out of the safe twice a year, 3 times a year or something like that. And so, and I think, especially if they live out east where there's not BLM access everywhere to go shooting or whatever, it's like, I think they go to a range, and especially if it's steel, but even a standard range, they're shooting at 50 yards minimum, maybe 100 yards zero. And when we showed up, you had us doing 7-yard shots, 10-yard shots, and it was so funny. Almost every single target holes are way above where everybody's aiming, because a lot of the guys had never even shot at 7 yards with a rifle before and didn't even think there's a
they're going to be below.
Sorry,
they're going to be below when you do that.
But it was just such a funny thing to see. Oh my gosh, it actually matters. In fact, I think some people could make the argument, maybe even more practical, to really be familiar with where your rounds are going to land close up than only 100-yard shooting or whatever.
Definitely on the civilian side.
Yeah,
right? Good luck convincing a jury you're in fear for your life at 100 yards.
100-yard shot
with your nods on.
Yeah. Did you start to figure out that mechanical offset stuff even back when you were throwing it on an ACOG? Did that?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's just part of rifle craft. I mean, if you're going to run a gun, and be a professional, you better know what your standoffs are.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
For sure.
What, when you're throwing the red dots on either the ACOG or Night Force, back then, what was kind of your maximum range that you felt comfortable? Okay, if I'm going to use the red dot, what ranges are you looking at for that versus switching to your glass and looking through it?
I think you can shoot 200. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
So even back then, 200-yard shot, red dot, no problem.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the time, obviously glass is nicer to shoot it on, but
okay.
I mean, a red dot gun easily is a 200-yard gun. I mean, I've shot way further just with red dots. That's not what it's designed for. It's not practical. You need someone spotting for you to do it right. I mean, but you can, as long as you have a holdover.
Yeah.
And can see where your misses are.
Okay.
You can walk stuff in with red dots. But
okay.
Yeah, generally too, I would consider a red dot gun a 200-yard.
200-yard. Okay. When you finally get the T1s and throw them on the Night Force, are you still running 15s at the time, or had you guys already gotten? Okay. So you're starting to pick up passive aiming. What about distances with passive aiming? Where?
Same.
Okay.
I mean, so the big change is going to be, you just can't see that far on nods.
Yeah.
When I hear guys, on the internet talking about PID and stuff, hundreds of yards away
Right.
on nods. I'm like,
Yeah, you're like, what?
I mean, maybe like
Sure.
if it's a full illumined night and they're holding their rifle out and shaking it above
Right.
their head, like
Yeah.
maybe you can see that, but that's not normative.
Okay.
I find with nods, 100 yards is much more reasonable.
Yeah.
Like that's much more, especially if it was a dark night and you had to push a loom to be able to see like that. That's much more reasonable for actually being able to PID something.
Okay. Interesting. So Recce M4, how many years were you kind of using that before
The whole
it
time I was in Recce,
went away? Okay. Which was like,
a couple of years.
okay, a couple of years. Sweet. And super happy with it. Like it's like
Great gun.
no complaints.
Yeah, for
Cool.
sure. My favorite gun from the time I was
From
at the
time you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's interesting that that configuration, I would say, is still reigns king today.
It's the king. I mean, that's the one. So now I call it hybrid carbine. Like,
Okay.
and the distinction that I make is your Recce rifle. Right, that's a thing. That's a 16-inch gun with 2.5 to 10 on it.
Yeah.
But now we have hybrid carbine, and hybrid carbine is way better
Yeah.
because now I can do a 1-to-8.
Right.
And with that 1-to-8, I can make all the standard shooting up close.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have to use the red dot on time. In fact,
Yeah.
really, the main reason I have the red dot is as a 1 is none, 2 is 1.
Sure.
For that option, and then for the passive
thing,
shooting.
yeah.
But if I didn't have to do passive shooting, honestly, like I would probably
Just a 1-to-8.
just do the 1-to-8.
Yeah.
So I can do all the fast stuff because on 1 power there's no like hunting target to target.
Yeah.
It doesn't slow you down.
Yeah.
2.5 target to target, it slows you down because your eyes won't work with one eye on 2.5 and the
Okay.
other eye on 1 power.
Okay.
But now if I'm looking through it now, it's still a piece of glass, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a little bit of distortion, but I can still use both eyes open while I'm doing that. So
Cool.
yeah, it's a better, the 1-to-8's the way to go.
Okay. So, so you've got the Recce M4. At some point, HK416s come around. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
happening?
I remember getting them. I remember being excited
Okay.
to get it, and in retrospect now, I'm like, we should have just stuck with M4s.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's a heavier gun that like a little bit less blowback in the face.
Okay.
Shooting suppressed, but I mean, you got a heavier gun. We did have some issues with them initially with, because the bolt speed is higher. Had way less. I mean, it took years to get a different free flow tube because H&K just didn't want to make what we asked for.
Okay.
Because what would we possibly know about shooting, right? So it's hilarious. Remington made the first free flow tube for a 416.
Yeah.
Because they listened.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, I didn't, looking back, I'm like, I don't think it definitely wasn't an upgrade.
When you guys got them, do you remember the thinking behind it? Like, were you unhappy with the M4s at the time, or they just
like earlier on there had been some reliability stuff with the M4s.
Okay.
But by the time we got the 416s, like there
Yeah.
really wasn't.
Okay.
Like guys just weren't having malfunctions all the time.
Yeah.
But it was the new thing, and so.
Okay. Do you recall right before the 416s coming out, guys starting to put like clamp-on free float tubes on the short M4s? Did you ever see any of that stuff?
It was actually before the war even started. Some guys were doing that.
Okay.
But it wasn't a super like. As I showed up, it wasn't a prevalent thing anymore.
Gotcha.
And then, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's photos out there of a short M4, but it's got like this GG&G clamp-on free float tube in it, and it's like a super unique thing. So all of us clone nerds are like, oh, that's super interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I do remember that.
Okay.
But there was actually something before that had a more circular one that I don't
interesting.
remember what the branding was
Okay.
on that thing.
Okay.
That was also out there.
Okay. The GG&G one that came later, was it pretty prevalent? Like, did a lot of guys do it, or was it
wasn't
more of a
for that long? I mean, yeah, that was the thing for a while, but
Yeah.
like it didn't have a long lifespan.
Okay. So 416s come out, and I think I had asked you this before, you had put 2.5 to 10 on your 416, even though it was a 10-inch gun.
Yeah.
Was that a configuration that you were pretty happy with? Like you were just kind of used to using it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a better, like,
Yeah.
I don't see why you would not have a setup like that.
Okay.
I mean, if you understand how to shoot distance, like,
Yeah.
why would you not have a piece of glass on it,
Okay.
other than like weight and cost?
Okay. And I guess we kind of skipped over this a little bit, but definitely by this time, EOTechs are kind of a pretty common thing
I
around.
never liked the EOTech.
Okay.
Never ran an EOTech.
Okay.
Always ran aim points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the battery life.
Yeah.
I mean, so like I get it. You get a big window, you get a finer dot.
Sure.
But like, you know, the EOTechs just had some zero holding issues, and the batteries were just. I mean, you burn through batteries so
super
fast with those things.
Yeah.
So
Still today, even I think they're.
I don't recommend them.
Okay. On the 416s, those are suppressed kind of right away. Like right when you get them, you have suppressors for them.
Yes.
Okay. And anything else? I mean, they're pretty just much a factory gun, right? Like they show up, it's just like the stock 416, grab stuff from your M4, throw it on it, go to work, whatever. You mentioned Remington doing a free float tube. Do you remember seeing any other like aftermarket
I don't.
stuff that started to come out for
And even
416s?
the Remington free float tube was like way later.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting. I know you said looking back on it, you kind of think like we should have stuck with M4s, but at the time,
everyone thought it was cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And it ran well, like everybody was happy with them, like pretty reliable.
For the most part. Good,
Okay.
good gun.
Yeah, super cool.
Just heavier, you know,
Right.
and like we're kind of a weight averse organization.
Okay. Yeah. That is just even talking about the technology differences of what we have today versus back then. That is the one area that fascinates me. It's like when you hold some of the older stuff, the sheer amount of weight that's into it, and you go pick up something today and it's crazy lightweight. I even noticed when my buddy let me borrow this helmet with the 15s on it, I picked that thing up and I'm like, oh my gosh, that thing weighs like a brick on your head compared to nowadays with like, you know, even full ballistic helmets with like 31s on it nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, you know, whatever, 2 pounds or something. It's nothing. Yeah, pretty interesting. Okay, so that kind of covers 416 stuff. I'm trying to think if I had any other questions about that. I can't think of anything. MP7, you remember those being around? Okay. Did you get to use it much, or was it?
I never carried one. I had one.
Okay.
You know, I think I had a T1 on it, and you know, laser, all that stuff. I was not convinced that it was the way.
Okay.
From the get-go.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys liked them early on, and then just there was some shootings that happened and led guys to stop carrying them.
Gotcha.
So,
the liking it early on, was it primarily from a weight perspective? Like, dang, this thing is just so light.
Guys are putting thermals on top of them just because you're, you know, like great capability to be able to, you know, target thermally and but you know, they're big sights.
Okay.
And so like, yeah, the Germans were freaking out. They're like, what? Like our little little PDW, like
what did you do?
You're putting lasers and you know thermals on top of it. Like, what are these crazy Americans doing?
That's great. When you said that some stuff happened and people started moving away from it, is that primarily ballistic related? Like this round just isn't.
Yeah, it just not.
It doesn't compare to a rifle round.
I'd love to have an, you know, if they ever import them and you know, they made a braced version. I've always said, man, that would be. I'd like a custom center console in my truck. Yeah. And just I'd have 3 of them in there. Okay. You know, at all times, just for me.
Geez.
Well, me, passenger, and at least one person in the back.
I like it. Yeah.
It'd be a great truck gun. I mean, 40 rounders in there, like good. That'd be great.
Whoever makes that insert first is going to make a lot of money.
Pretty sweet.
The center console MP7 holster. Yes. I like it.
We just need MP7s to go with
it. Yeah. I
did. And 4.6 ammo.
Yes. Yeah. I did hear, I think, well, there was a guy domestically that made some clones of MP7s pretty close recently. I think that they had some reliability issues or something. I'm not too familiar with it. Yeah. But there has been some pretty substantial stuff coming from HK. I think it was the CEO of HK USA that came out and said that they announced like they're officially working on bringing a USA made MP7 to the
That'd be
market,
awesome.
which would be
super cool.
kind of fun. Yeah. Okay, one thing I forgot to ask you about on SEAL Team 3 side. So let's start there. Handgun use. Is it 226 when you...
So when I first got there, we just got in the Mark 23s.
Okay.
And
Okay.
my first platoon, it was not an option, which was kind of strange within the teams. Normally, there's a lot more freedom there, but
Okay.
the platoon leadership said, "No, you're all gonna. This is the new better gun.
Interesting.
You're gonna run this."
Yeah.
And so I didn't know any better. I carried a Mark 23 my whole first deployment.
Okay.
It's a good gun.
Sure.
It's a monstrosity. It's
Yeah.
huge, but
Yeah.
it is accurate and very reliable.
Okay.
But yeah, we had little guys that were literally using both fingers to pull the trigger.
That's crazy.
Like, it's just that's what happens when everyone's input is counted equally during weapons design.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
Designed by committee.
horrible idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everyone's opinion is equal.
Were you running the Mark 23s suppressed at the time or just carrying it?
No, just mostly in Safariland holsters.
Okay.
And yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we had cans for them.
Yeah.
I've definitely shot them suppressed, but
Okay. And then did you move to 226 while you were at Team 3? Like it kind of...
yeah. Second platoon, we all ran 226s.
Okay, gotcha. And then what was the handgun situation when you show up to the command? Still 226 at that time?
Iron sight 226s.
Okay. And are you running like weapon lights on them already, or is it...
Not initially, like later on. Yeah, because I mean, I remember doing transition drills because you had a weapons bound light on your primary, but you didn't on your secondary.
Okay.
So like we would actually go through drills where you would punch the gun forward so you could hold it on your left shoulder, draw your pistol.
Interesting.
And so you're illuminating with your rifle and you're shooting strong hand only with your pistol.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Did you see more suppressed handgun usage there? Like, was that kind of a thing, or was it more
I did go through phases where I carried a suppressed pistol.
Okay.
As a recce guy,
Yeah.
but it was just like the holster thing is just like
It's a mess.
it's a pain.
Yeah. Still
Like,
to this
I mean,
day, it's not even really...
Yeah. There's not great.
Nobody's figured it
there's
out.
good I've got good black point holsters that will accept the can.
Yeah.
But you're still like doing this to get it out, and then you still have 6 or 8 inches hanging below your leg. So now as you're moving around, it's just not as practical. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you even find that you used them much on deployment, or was it more like, this is a backup thing, and if I needed it,
I never used it. We did have some guys more with that 45 configuration there.
Yeah.
Some guys did some good work with it.
Okay.
But no, I never did.
Gotcha. Did you ever get to use the smaller HK-45? Like, did you get one of those eventually?
Yeah. So not the one with the safety on it like that, but the we had a few in inventory, and then we actually went through a phase where we wanted a 45, and we ended up picking the H&Ks.
Yeah.
That's good. Again, good gun.
Okay, super cool. Okay, cool. Next big question, 300 Blackout. Do you remember that kind of getting developed or being around? Like, was that kind of during your time?
Yeah. I mean, I was one of the guys that, kind of helped write the requirement for it.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
So yeah, so basically the way that came about is I was a bit of a bullet nerd.
Okay.
And, kind of always into guns.
Yeah.
And we had a capability, our only true subsonic capability was this Accuracy International suitcase gun, which was super cool. It came with its own Samsonite hard case luggage, and it was cool, but really kind of more suited for checking into a hotel in Zurich and assassinating someone in the park. That's really what that is more for. Not really practical for what we're doing.
Okay.
In the GWAT. So, me being a bit of a gun nerd, I was like, when the time came for life cycle replacement on that, I looked at it and I was like, man, we can, with, you know, the 300 Whisper, because it wasn't the 300 Blackout then,
right?
With the 300 Whisper, I'm like, we can push the same 220 grain OTM bullet at the same velocity that we need, and we could just do it with just a different upper. We don't even need to get a whole new gun. And so we, you know, wrote a requirement for it, and then went to industry, and then, you know, kind of the rest is history, right? With, you know, Remington and AAC, and kind of that whole turned into this whole huge thing, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you remember seeing? I think there's a couple guys that have mentioned like some early, like Noveski barrels floating around that were
After
kind of
my
early.
time.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I never saw, like, I mean, it's funny, like I, you know, like helped write the requirement for it and like lobby for it and never saw it.
Okay. So do you, in terms of like when you finally get, you know, 300 Blackout gets developed, it's kind of standardized at the time, and you guys get actual configurations that are all set up for it. Are those like the AAC guns? Do you remember that were
again, like after your time? I don't know.
Okay, gotcha. That's so interesting. When you were kind of going through the process of doing that, were you just ordering like commercial off the shelf 300
so
Whisper
initially
uppers?
we were trying to, we were trying to go that way, and just like very quickly the whole, you know, Remington really jumped at it, and AAC as well. And then, you know, Sammy specking the cartridge, and
super cool. What about even today? Like, are you a fan of 300 Blackout, or have you kind of lost?
For very specific application, it's great. The two applications would be for a bag gun that needs to be very, very small.
Okay, yeah.
Right, so like, you know, 5.5-inch guns, like, you know, one of my buddies from the team's Monty owns Centurion Arms. We've been friends for a long time. Like, he's got a cool 5.5-inch Blackout. It's awesome, right? You throw a law folder on there, like, and you literally have a gun that will fit in an oversized fanny pack.
Right.
But now you have, you know, even on a 5.5-inch barrel, 110 grain TTSX rounds, you're pushing 1,700 foot a second. So you have, like, it's not amazing rifle performance,
it's pretty good,
but it's a heck of a lot better than, you know, 1,100-1,200 foot a second out, you know, from a 9mm round.
Right.
And so it's for that, it's really good, and for suppressed work, it's decent. But you know, it is a, like, you have to know much more what you're doing with the 300 Blackout. Just your ballistics are your lob and mortar rounds. So you just, it's not as plug and play, right? Also, just like making them work right is not the same as, you know, 5.56. It's kind of hard to screw it up.
Right. It's a known.
With the Blackouts, it's a little bit harder to make sure. You know, guns might be a little bit more finicky. It might like one type of ammo better than another. Or you might need to shoot, you know, especially with shorter barrels, you might need to shoot it suppressed. And
Okay, cool. Back on the AI gun that you mentioned, so the case gun, do you remember there being a subsonic kind of like full length bolt gun that had like a big like super long suppressor?
That's what I was talking about.
Okay, that's the one you're talking about. Okay, cool. Yeah, some photos of that thing have showed up every once in a while, and it's one of those things where everyone begs AI to make it again, and, you know, they're like, whatever, you know, we have no interest in doing that. Like, come on, it's so cool.
They'd sell a bunch of them in the States.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Night vision wise, I assume you were kind of around for when Panos started kind of coming out and replacing the 15s. Was that kind of a big deal? Like, do you remember thinking,
that was
like,
amazing.
Oh my gosh, this is cool?
Yeah, for sure.
Were they green at first when you first got them? Okay. And then eventually you guys
I don't think I ever had white phos ones.
Okay. Capability wise, is it just literally having more, like the name says, panoramic vision? I mean,
you just go from, you know, a single tube, you're looking through one toilet paper tube basically, and then a set of 15s, you're looking through two. And then with the quad nods, now it opens up to where you actually have that level of field of view, and it's amazing. Like, you don't have to be head on a swivel as much.
Okay. Super cool. I know you're a knife guy. Blades, while you were in, was it pretty common? Like, were you just as much into them back then as you kind of are now, or?
I mean, so I started training with SIAC in, I don't know, maybe 04, 05 timeframe, something like that. Before that, I had done some blade stuff, but I wouldn't say it was very good blade stuff.
Okay.
And then with the SIAC stuff, it started actually being like good, legit, like this is how you use a knife to fight.
To fight.
And so then, and initially it wasn't like there wasn't headhunter blades. There wasn't, SIAC wasn't making blades. Atienza wasn't making blades. It was like SOG Pentagon. Like that was a good
Sure.
blade. So there just wasn't. It was more just the software.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I had a Gerber dagger. One of the ones that's completely flat on one side, so it only has a bevel on one side. Which now I'm like, why did they do that? Well, ease of manufacturing. Which was, it's still, like the thing thrusts like crazy. It just looks a little bit weird. Not like there wasn't this whole like, oh, this cool knife or this cool knife. And then my buddy Rat kind of spearheaded, Thomas Ratzlaff, he went in on extortion. He kind of had a relationship with Winkler and like was instrumental in getting the Winkler, one of his fixed blade knives, into the command. And so, yeah.
Okay.
So it was more of a functional tool for me at the time.
Okay.
Like we weren't making knives, doing everything. AMTAC blades wasn't a thing. Like I didn't even like. I would have laughed if you would have told me, "Hey, you're gonna have a company making knives someday."
Okay. Kit wise, were you kind of super into kit? Like, were you trying new setups all the time?
I was still sewing stuff.
Okay.
Really up until we got a set. I remember begging and trading an Air Force dude for a setup, and he had a good setup, and it was like, it was almost right, but it's armor setup, but it had a zipper in the front, and then I took it and modified it and made it so, cut the zipper out, made it so that there would be Velcro and the flap coming down, and then took it to London Bridge, and they sewed up the first like 10 of them for us.
Super cool.
And then basically after that, I stopped sewing because I was like, I've got Molly everywhere. I've got armor, like I've got a setup that works really well.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't need to sew stuff on anymore. So I
Gotcha.
pretty much quit sewing after that setup.
Cool. That's awesome. All right. Kind of transitioning to the next phase of your life. So how long has AMTAC shooting been around?
11 years now.
Okay.
So we started it officially the first day I was a civilian.
Okay.
We started it.
Was it kind of always the plan? Like, had you kind of had a seed of that thought for a long time, even while you were in, that's what you were going to do when you...
So the last about 2 years or so I was in, I was senior enlisted for our K-9 program.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a bunch of guys that worked for me that were not SEALs.
Okay.
Right? They were Navy Master at Arms.
Gotcha.
So they had a significantly lower level of shooting training and tactical training. And so we would go on these training trips, and I would make the guys shoot with me every day, and we would do CQB together, and kind of as a thank you, because most of the time we're doing this, we're in some big city someplace, and there's always different coppers hosting us, and so like I would always invite one or two of the local cops out on the line just as a thank you for being there and hosting us. Yeah. And I just started getting a ton of really good feedback from these guys. I also had a bunch of retired cops that worked for me as the our trainers, and they really encouraged me. They're like, man, you do this well.
Yeah.
And then the cops that we'd have on the line, they'd be like, this is great. Like, you don't yell at us, and you explain stuff, and you demo. And I was just like, doesn't everyone teach this way?
This is how it is.
But I guess not. And so, I kind of started getting in my mind like, hey, maybe this is something I could do, right? The shooting and fighting has always been something that I've been into.
Yeah.
And so I just, I called Kyle DeFore before I got out and was like, hey, buddy, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And he kind of, he'd been doing it as a civilian, like successfully for a while at that point. And so like he gave me a bunch of cliff notes, and a few months into being in a civilian, he actually invited me out. I got to AI for him and kind of see how, how he was running classes. That was super helpful.
Yeah,
and so, and it's just kind of grown from there. Really had no clue if I was going to teach mostly MIL or LE. And honestly, I do like onesies, twosies, I'll get MIL guys, active duty guys that'll come to a class. Sure. From time to time, I'll have single departments that'll do stuff. I'll go to them. Mostly, I'll go to them when it's stuff like that. Almost always, I'll have one or two cops in a class, but overwhelmingly, like I have just good Americans, right? Good civilians. Yeah. Guys like yourself, they're just like normal dudes that are into carrying guns and being able to protect themselves and their families. And that's really our mission, is to help good, mostly men, be able to protect themselves and their families. And that's my approach for all of it. It's also why I try to get guys to do pistol, and specifically pistol combatives first, right? The getting guys out of the mindset of, well, I don't need to know how to fight because I carry a pistol. I would actually say if you carry a pistol, you have more of a duty to know how to fight properly, because you should have more than one tool, right? If all you have is a hammer, that's the only thing you have, then you're going to use the hammer. Yeah. But if you have a hammer and a screwdriver, maybe the screwdriver is more appropriate for putting screws in. Sure. Right? So being able to throw some punches, throw some elbows, headbutts, knees, that kind of stuff, frame, be able to grapple, be able to transition to a blade, right? All these things make you so much more capable than just being able to pull a pistol out. Right. And so that's kind of where I like to start guys. Okay. Hey, let's do some, we've got probably 7 or 8 different flavors of pistol classes. Okay. Everything from classes that have more fundamental focus to low light classes to force on force, where you got to bring an airsoft pistol with you. Okay. And we're going to be doing stuff where I tell you to close your eyes, you're standing there and I say go, and maybe someone's charging you with a giant training blade, or or someone's shooting at you, or shooting at a loved one or something like that. And then So obviously, as you can see, passionate about doing that. I enjoy doing that. I also like the, what I would say falls into more the modern Minuteman side of things. And that's any of the carbine, any of your environmental work, a little bit of CQB, a little bit of small unit tactics, your precision rifle work, that kind of stuff, your night vision work. Yeah. All that, I enjoy doing that as well. It's cool to do. You should be able to do it, right? But if you're just starting this and you're like, man, I really like my Recce clone, you should still, if you don't have a pistol on your hip right now, you need to fix that. Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the things that was super humbling when I took your night vision class was, I had spent a lot of time messing around with my rifle at night, but not a lot of time with my pistol. Yeah. And when it came to the end shooting portion where we were all, running for times and stuff, totally fine on the rifle, get my pistol out, and I'm just missing all over the place, trying to shoot. Yeah. I think I was doing passive with pistol, might have had a laser on there or something, but it'll humble you. The pistol will, it's pretty interesting.
That's a great thing though, now with now in a class, almost everyone's running a dot gun. Okay. And so so now we really hardly ever even see guys with IR lasers on pistols anymore. Gotcha. Okay. Just because they just don't. It's harder to hold zero with them. It's harder to it's harder to check zeros. Yeah. Versus, man, if you run a dot gun already, your normal pistol, throw a X300V on there and flip that bezel over. Because especially out here, it's so dark and it's in the trees. You need to push some aluminum in order to see anything. But now you just shoot your dot that you're already confident with. Really nothing, not a whole lot of stuff changes. Yeah.
I remember you being a big proponent of dots. Do you remember when that transition kind of happened? Were you still in when that started to be experimented with?
On handguns?
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. Competitive shooters have been doing it for years, but they had frame-mounted stuff where not practical, and honestly, the gear, the technology wasn't there yet for something that you could, immerse in salt water and beat up a bunch and then still work.
And still work.
So no, it wasn't. When I first started teaching, I remember every once in a while you'd have a guy with an RMR. Okay. And you'd look and be like, whoa, that dude's shooting good. Okay. But I was it's technology and it could fail. You know, like
Sure.
I had a bunch of reasons
Sure.
why I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then eventually, Blowers, right? Bill Blowers, you know, cop, you know, good teacher on the circuit. You know, him and a couple other guys that I respect were like, they're like, man, you should try this. And so the other thing was, so I had tried it earlier with an RMR and had some reliability issues with it, just with like flickering and with it changing settings on me, which I guess was an issue with the Type 1s. But also, like, you know, we live in a part of the country where it rains and snows and there's a lot of mud. And so I am, to this day, I'm not a proponent of open emitter red dots. And it's because you get, I mean, the first time I taught with an RMR was over in Washington, and it was like high 30s and it rained straight for 2 days. And I remember, and I'm going from concealment the whole time, and like my window was fogging up to the point I couldn't see through it. Yeah. There was times when water was getting into the emitter, and like I couldn't see my dot, or I'd have 5 dots. And so I didn't decide that I'm going to give this a go until the ACRO P1 came out.
Okay.
So fully enclosed emitter, and then I threw that on, and I was like, I'm only going to shoot dot for the next year.
Yeah.
And that's all I did. And then that, you know, I'm hard on gear. Like I actually broke 2 P1s.
Okay.
It failed on me teaching a class in Georgia, and I remember it messed me up. And so like ever since then, I tell guys, I'm like, every time you go train with your dot gun, turn that dot off for like at least a set of drills during there, because it shouldn't, right? We can all shoot iron still.
Sure.
It just, at first, you know, it is harder. It takes more concentration. So yeah, I'm a huge proponent of it. Every gun that I carry now has a dot on it.
Gotcha.
It's just I'd say it's 50% easier to shoot.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned the weather thing. That had actually happened to me at your class. We did the night vision class. I think it was in October, November, sometime frame. And it was rain, snow mix that we had.
Oh yeah.
And
good North Idaho weather.
Yeah, exactly. And I had only ever carried my handgun with my dot on it concealed. And so it didn't even occur to me, you know, I show up to your class, I have it in an, you know, external, like outside the waistband holster. It was a Safariland, but it didn't have the little hood, you know? And I remember the first time we went to draw and shoot pistol, and it was just mush, like red. There was snow caked in there.
Yep.
There was, I was like, oh, this is going to be a long day.
Yeah.
Very cool. Between all of those classes that you do you have a favorite that you love teaching more than any of the others?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's the class I didn't teach last time.
Okay. Interesting.
I enjoy teaching
tell me
different
more about
stuff.
that. Okay.
So I like when I start kind of losing my mind is if I'm teaching. I generally never schedule to teach the same class, but sometimes there's going to be overlap. If I teach an integrated combatives class on, for 2 days, and I teach a low light class, there's still going to be fundamentals where there's overlap.
Okay.
And so when I start teaching the same thing, like within a few days of each other, like I don't like that as much.
Gotcha.
Because I start wondering, did I say this 5 minutes ago or 2 days ago? But I enjoy all of it. I would say I'm probably most passionate about any of the pistol combative stuff, because that's the, kind of the biggest. Like, you will leave more capable.
Sure.
If you do any pistol class with me where you learn how to throw punches, pull a pistol out, pull a blade out.
Yeah.
Like, you leave there. Even after day one, you're more capable than you were when you first showed up.
Yeah.
With a carbine class, you're more capable as well. But you probably, when you go out to eat on your way home, you probably don't have your carbine slung on your back. Right? So it's one of those things. It's like, you have more capability,
sure,
but not on a practical day in and day out level.
Yeah, that makes sense. Walk me through AMTAC blades. When did that kind of start?
AMTAC blades has been around now for 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
And basically it started as a conversation between myself and one of my good friends, Frank Wendell, whose nickname was the Northman. He passed away a couple years ago. And so we were talking. He was a good training partner. He hosted me over in Maine, and he had just learned how to make knives.
Okay.
And we started talking, and we were all we were all carrying blades, fixed blade knives on our other strong side at this point, but most of us still had folders in our pockets.
Okay.
And we always joke that a folder is a halfway broken blade, right? And we sell a folder now,
Sure.
so it's funny. I say that laughing, and it's a good folder, but we said, man, wouldn't it be cool to have a fixed blade knife in your pocket? And I kind of explained, this is just two friends talking.
Sure.
And like 3 weeks later, a blade shows up in the mail.
Okay.
And I still have that prototype sitting in our display case and in our office now.
Yeah.
And then we talk. Oh yeah, this is good. This needs to. This would be better if it was changed. And so this process goes on for the next year plus.
Okay.
And finally, we get to a point where I'm like, man, this is really this is a cool product. And I'm looking around. None of the guys, Headhunter Blades was around at the time. But they weren't doing a pocket blade. None of the guys that I knew that I would have said are like in-tribe guys were doing a pocket fixed blade knife. And so I went to the guys that I respect and said, hey, what do you think about, I went to Frank and was like, hey, I'd like to make a business out of this. Yeah. What do you think? And he was just like, yeah, man, go for it. Right? He was a successful, business guy in his own right.
Yeah.
And, so then lots of friends that helped through the years and getting it going from, Frank making some prototypes to actually getting something into some files and getting some production prototypes made and then getting, having blades and that first, man, okay, I think we're going to do this and launching it and, and we've totally changed. I mean, we went from an ideas company with other manufacturers making stuff for us to we are 100% in-house right now.
Everything's in-house.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, some folder parts are still being made by one of my buddies that lives 10 miles away from me.
Okay.
But that's just super cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as we've grown and everything from laser engraving. Things we're not doing. We're not heat treating in house. We're not water jetting in house. That's just it's not. Those aren't practical things yet.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to move towards being able to do in-house heat treat.
Okay.
Not because I'm not happy with the quality that we're getting. It's just the turnaround times.
Gotcha.
Are kind of hard to deal with. But
okay.
It's just that's been a super cool thing. All my boys can grind blades.
Yeah.
I literally the last two designs with blade stuff, I tell my oldest son, hey, this is what I'm thinking of. He sketches it out for me, and then I'll be like, no, a little bit more like this.
So cool.
And then he'll cut it out on cardboard, and I'll be like, yeah, go ahead and make a prototype. And he literally goes in with a bandsaw, cuts it out.
Oh, that's awesome.
You'll do the primary bevels, all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is good. Change this a little bit. And then, put it in a DXF file. And so it's just been a super cool. It's been a cool process. Yeah. And, it's been.
Speaking
of
your boys, are they into shooting at all as well?
They are, yeah. Okay. No, it was cool. My oldest boy has beat multiple times now. He's beat all the men in class.
Okay,
which is cool. And not awesome. Just to put it in perspective, right? So we've got not a class where I have the highest level students.
Okay.
Classes where there's kind of mid range, but still some hard shooters. My oldest boy is shooting hard, and then yesterday we just did a run and gun, and my second oldest boy was there. It was just such a proud dad moment. He was crushing it. He didn't great. The first two stations, he didn't miss anything until midway through the second station. He was just crushing.
Yeah.
That's been awesome. I try to take one of my boys with me now. If I'm either teaching a local class, they'll be with me.
Okay.
Or if I'm doing a class where financially it's feasible, I'm driving there, or sometimes we'll spring for an extra ticket.
Okay.
And they'll come with me, and they're as the hand, right? They're stapling up targets and they're runners to grab stuff, but then they also get a lot of time on the line and shoot and get to be around men. That's another just great thing.
Totally.
It's just seeing how other men act, seeing how I act around other men, and just hey, here's the norms. And honestly, I was nervous about bringing my boys when I first started bringing them on classes. I'm oh man, they're gonna they're boys. They're gonna goof off and not always pay attention.
Sure.
And I've found overwhelmingly it's just a super positive thing because other men are there and they're like, oh, I should bring my boys on this. Like it's a
100%.
cool thing. And like, I remember doing a precision rifle course in Washington, and a day into it, like I've got boys on spotting scopes, spotting for men. They're shooting, 800, 900 yards. And my boys are like, all right, come up half a mil, right a mil. Like, that's just like cool
So
stuff.
cool.
Right.
Super
and it's
cool.
like, this is right. We lose if we don't train the next generation.
100%. Yeah. It's so cool. We were in the beginning when we were talking about, even our memories of shooting as a kid and how cool we thought that was. The stuff that our kids have access to today is just so much cooler.
Yeah. I know. They don't have a clue. I mean, I just think I was shooting at my buddy's place in Oregon last year, and my boys are all shooting Night Force stuff, and they just they have no clue that they're gonna have to be in the workforce for a while before they're able to afford this stuff. And they're just like, oh no, this is normal.
I remember taking my boys shooting under nods with suppressed subsonic 300 blackout, which to me is, growing up shooting unsuppressed, big caliber rifles, whatever, is still one of the coolest experiences. Like I still giggle when I, wearing no ear pro, super, smacking the steel so loud.
Or how about thermal stuff?
Yeah, thermal,
that's
incredible.
Another one. Like just like the fact that we did a night vision course last year, and our night vision course has changed a little bit from when you do it. There's more small unit tactics and some force on force stuff going on. And I had one of those hollow sun thermals that I'd slapped on a rifle, and one of my boys was running that because I wanted to see, hey, is this thing gonna break? And we're doing force on force. The men end up putting my boy as point man because he's taking a few steps and then he's scanning on thermal and seeing guys and busting them. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. We'll every once in a while even look through. I've got a clip on that I'll throw in front of like a 1-8 or something and have them look through it, and it's like, sure, Dad, it's cool. And I'm like, but you don't understand how.
You don't know.
You don't get it.
You don't get it.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Super cool. Okay, so that's most of what you're kind of up to these days between the shooting stuff and the blade stuff. On the shooting front, I think I saw recently you've even brought on more instructors, right? So it's not just you teaching anymore. How many?
So we've got 4 instructors working for us. They'll do classes regionally. They'll come help out with classes. If I, say we get a LE contract and it's bigger than I want to teach on my own, I'll bring one of those guys out. 2 of them are current cops. The third guy's a former cop. They all train. They're all guys. That was one of the things when we brought instructors on, is so much of industry is just hey, send me your resume, and I'm going to bid on every contract out there. And then if we get the contract, then I'll scramble and actually find someone. And here's curriculum, go teach.
Gotcha.
And I did not want that.
Want to do that, yeah.
I want, so all the guys that teach for me are they believe in, because we have a methodology. Yeah. Right. We have a systematic way of approaching all things pistol combatives and modern Minuteman related. And so that was really important to me to have that. And then to also have guys that are believers, right? They can share the gospel, as when we do a mindset talk, guys that can actually share the gospel when we talk about what's actually most important, and that's readiness for death. That's we talk about readiness in a bunch of different ways, but having peace with God through Christ is the most important readiness that you will do. Yeah. And so that was really important to me to have that. So that's been a cool kind of additional thing right
evolution,
there. Yeah. And then another cool thing has been AMTAC Training. Yeah. Which is that's an idea that I've had for the last 4 or 5 years. Okay. And basically, so much of how the shooting industry is done is, and this is even for guys that are into it that train, is they train with someone that's good once or twice a year, and then the rest of the time they're just kind of on their own program doing whatever. Sure. If we put that into, so I wrestled, all my boys are wrestlers. If we put that in wrestling perspective, if you're like, oh yeah, I'm a wrestler. Cool, who do you wrestle for? Well, once a year a good guy comes into town and I do a clinic with him.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
that's cool, but you're not really a wrestler.
Right.
But that's how we do things with shooting.
Yeah.
And so with AMTAC Training, it's a systematic, so it's an online, it's a subscription program. It's $30 a month, $29.95 a month, something like that.
Yeah.
Every month, we're putting out solid content on 3 overarching columns. One being responsible armed citizen,
Okay.
right, which is everything pistol combatives
Yeah.
related, basically.
Yeah.
A little bit of med would be involved with that as well. Then modern Minuteman column, all of your carbine, all of your precision rifle, all of your environmentals, your navigation, your comms, like all of that big chunk of that stuff.
Okay.
And then mindset, strategy, and fitness being that third column. Like, hey, why are you doing this? When would you be willing to go to guns? Are you even in shit? Can you even get there? Right? Can you sprint across your yard and make a hard shot?
Yeah.
And so this has just been a cool thing. So we're putting out good training instructional videos.
Okay.
Then we've got core skills videos that we keep adding to all the time. So if you're like, what's that? First thing I always talk about, circle awareness, loading procedure.
Yeah.
So if you do a course with me and then you're, how did that circle awareness go? Well, go into core skills section and it's right on there, a 5-minute video on like the whys and the hows of how to do it. It's also a great guys post in there. It's kind of a Facebook-like feed, so you can post. I'm posting in there every day what I'm doing for fitness.
Okay.
There's, hey, what are we setting for goals? We've got a killing your clone section, right? That comes from Pamanatuan Chris Syak, right? The founder of the Syak system talked about, basically think about it like this: every night at midnight, there's a clone of you.
Okay.
24 hours later, you're gonna have to fight him to the death.
Okay.
Did you do anything that day to kill your clone?
Okay.
Or are you just gonna be equal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or are you actually worse because you were just lazy that day and your clone is like how you were 24 hours ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we say, hey, did you kill your clone today? That means like, what did you do to train and make yourself better?
Okay.
So like, anytime I'm, out doing jits or doing blade stuff or going to the range and shooting, like all those things are part of killing your clone. Fitness is part of killing your clone. And so just having a spot like that, and it's been super cool. It's turning into a pretty cool community where guys are encouraging each other and guys will post, right? So I post drills every month as well.
Yeah.
And so guys will post videos of themselves doing the drills and putting times down and, hey, what about doing it this way? And it's been a really cool thing to see. So definitely, that's an easy way to get into it and to check it out at a pretty low price point.
And you were telling me about this earlier. It's an app, right?
We have our own app.
Okay.
So super cool. So you can go, if you go on, either Google Play or the
App Store.
iTunes.
Yeah.
Or whatever
Whatever it is now.
whatever it's called now. Yeah, the Apple Store.
The App Store.
And type in AMTAC Training and it will pop up. Yeah, I think you do have to go to amtactraining.com to sign up for it.
Do the subscription.
And then and then you just go on to the app.
How long have you guys been doing that so far?
We just started month 3. Month 3 curriculum dropped yesterday.
Okay.
So it's still brand new.
Awesome. And you're pretty happy with it? Like
it's been great. No,
having a lot of fun with it.
The app has been super good. Like it's got a live. I could live stream right now if I wanted to. We could live stream this whole thing.
Yeah.
It auto records it. I do a live Q&A every month. So guys submit questions, or like guys will throw questions in if I have time. I'll get to it during the live stream, and it's been a cool,
awesome,
pretty cool,
awesome, love it.
Thing. Yeah.
You mentioned when we were talking about bringing other instructors on in terms of like, sharing the gospel, using it as a ministry. We kind of talked about it earlier that when I took your class, I was blown away, this like mindset talk that you do at the end. When did that kind of become a thing? Like when did that become sort of a staple of the program that you were doing?
Pretty much from the get-go. Now it's I've definitely, by God's grace, I've grown in boldness. I remember early mindset talks were like ended with, and make sure you're right with God at the end. To now, basically preach for like 10 minutes and talk about Peter and kind of apostolic witness and like the, all or most, if not all, of the remaining 11 disciples, minus minus John, being martyred for their faith.
Yeah.
Right. And just none of those guys were canting, and Christianity spreading by people having a willingness to die. And especially the first people that actually saw the risen Christ, like, eyewitness testimony is good.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like to have all of these people that were like, no, right. I mean, they were all despondent after Jesus was crucified. They're like, we thought he was the one.
Yeah.
Right. And right. And there was a bunch of false messiahs that came before, and they were killed or imprisoned, and their followers scattered.
Yeah. And
here we have Jesus coming, right, clearly claiming to be God.
Right.
Right. And then being crucified, and they're like, like, what's up? Like, we were like, did we misunderstand this?
Yeah.
Right. And then he's raised from the dead and conquers sin and death, and man, like, and we can have peace with Almighty God through his son Jesus, right? By repenting and placing our faith in Christ. And it's just like, it's the gospel, which means the good news, and it's the best news that there is that we can have peace with God, right? Because and sometimes people, they just talk about the good news. They don't. It's good news because the really, really bad news is that we've all sinned and fallen short of God's glory and are rebel sinners, right? Like destined for hell. Yeah. Justly destined for hell. Yeah. Like a real place, not just a metaphorical, a real place of eternal conscious torment. Sure. Right? Horrible, like absolute worst thing possible. Yeah. But God, made a way for us to be right with him. Yeah. So it's absolutely amazing. It's
interesting that you mentioned that it took you a while to kind of get more bold in that over the time. I've heard, even like a sermon that you gave at your local church and stuff like that. And I just kind of thought like, oh, you've always been, preaching and stuff. But do you feel that you kind of have a real passion for preaching, or is it...
For sure. No, okay. I honestly, I get to preach now a couple times a year at church. Yeah. And I'm more excited about preaching than I am teaching, shooting, and fighting and stuff now. I mean, there's just so much cool. more of a, there's a much more eternal impact with being able to preach God's word than there is with doing anything else in life, right? I mean, that's the stuff that's going to have the most impact. And it's not like I was shy about my faith. Okay. It's just that I've definitely grown in boldness. I mean, in all honesty, when we first started AMTAC shooting, right away we have a statement of faith on there. Okay. And that was not a for sure thing. I thought about that. Should I do this?
Should I do it? Should I not?
You can be a Christian business owner and not have a big, bold statement of faith on there, right? And you can still be honoring to God by by doing that. You don't have to do that. But it's just so much of the training that I do is mindset and is thinking things through. And so just as I started thinking about that and okay, I'm going to have this mindset section, I felt convicted that we should do that, and definitely I would say we've been blessed by having that, having that statement on there and just being bold, and I mean it's the gospel is offensive to people that are perishing. Yeah, ultimately you're not going to make everyone happy. Yeah, and but that's. My job is not to convince people. Sure. My job is to call people to repentance and share the gospel, right? And it's the Holy Spirit that works in people.
Yeah, absolutely. So. It's really funny how lives work out. I mean, I think your story is super cool. Starting out as a missionary kid, and then I would call you a modern day missionary. You're in the mission field when you're doing these training classes and stuff, and guys aren't expecting to come to church when they're going to a shooting class or whatever. Have you had a chance to talk to I'm sure your parents were, immensely proud of you, Navy career and all that kind of stuff, but now seeing what you're doing and preaching and everything like that, are they just overjoyed to see your life kind of work out that way?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I'm the older I get, the more I just realized the immense blessing that it is to have godly parents.
Yeah.
I mean, just to be raised in the way, and to have parents that love the Lord is one of the biggest blessings that you can have.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, Bill, that kind of wraps up our first section, the big chunk of time. I've got a little bit of a lightning round for you, which is going to be a little bit goofy. We took some public questions, which is probably never a good idea, but we thought we'd try it. So I'm going to fire as many of these as I possibly
can. All the blue ones.
I know, I told you. But
where's the lunch?
Yeah, exactly. But I will go super fast, and we'll cut out any that don't make any sense. All right, here we go. Yak Cubic JC says, was there any ever kind of gear that you wish, that we wish he had that only now exists? Stuff that exists now that you wish you had back then?
Thermal overlays.
Okay. Running Man CSS, early GWAT firearms compared to mid, were they that much more reliable or effective?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay. I can't read the name on this one. Did your unit typically use single point slings, 2-point, or 3-point slings?
2-point slings.
Okay. More public info on natural camo when being... Oh, okay. So they're asking hunter camo patterns before AOR1 came around. Were you using like civilian?
We were using Realtree stuff for a while.
Okay. Yeah. And worked good? Like pretty happy with it or not really?
It honestly doesn't work so good when it gets wet.
Gotcha.
Which is why we made a good bat AOR1.
Okay. Here's one I didn't ask. Grenade launchers. Use them, like them?
Yeah, they're great.
Okay.
203s, the standalone ones, I prefer.
Did you have the little tiny HK one at some point?
I never used one of those, but yes, we did have
Okay. What about, I think it's the M79, the big,
the old pirate gun.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Very cool. Midnight says, were any other suppressors used on the MP7 besides the B&T one that we see photos of all the time?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. I don't know what that means. We're going to need that 15.1 history hashed out. I already explained the 15.1 is not a thing. We'll talk about that later. How early on did you start to use OPSYNC cans on the 416s? I think
I don't think I did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, okay. We talked about that. Did you do a lot of pistol training, or was it mostly just rifle?
A lot of pistol training.
Okay, interesting.
A lot of pistol training.
Okay.
And that was like my era.
Yeah.
We did a lot more pistol work.
Okay.
And then as we got a couple years into the GWAT,
Yeah.
a lot of the pistol stuff really fell by the wayside because we weren't using them.
Okay, gotcha. How do you feel about Mark 17? Did you use the SCAR ever much? See it around? SCAR heavy?
Not a big fan.
Okay.
I'll just leave it.
Okay, fair enough. Any use of SR25s, we covered that. Clip-on use on the Recce. So yeah, I should have talked about that. So you would have had
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And happy with them, like cool.
Great. Didn't use them a whole lot.
Okay,
but
got it.
Yeah, at the time.
Okay.
Decent.
Have you ever heard of anyone actively using the Mark 23? I think you answered that yourself. Here you are in the flesh. Here's one we didn't talk about. Midnight says, how was the 417 received?
So I was around during that time. There was issues with it.
Okay.
We were really happy with one of the prototypes, and then we said, but we want this one thing changed.
Okay.
And we got that one thing back and had a lot of issues with the gun.
Gotcha.
After that.
Were they... were you guys primarily seeing them as a replacement for SR25s? Yes. Was that kind of the deal? Okay. And in terms of issues, was it around like the suppressors or
we changed something
function?
On the gas system. I don't remember exactly what
Gotcha.
it was, but we had asked for a change, and when it came back to us, it wasn't the same gun.
Okay. I did shuffle these, but it says story behind short-barreled HK 417. Did you see the short 417 around much? Okay.
But it doesn't surprise me. I mean, like, our guys like short and small and light.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So they would.
not surprising.
Okay. I think you already answered this. Well, at least as of today, did you prefer the 416 over the M4, short M4?
Yeah.
Okay. To what extent did you and your peers get to provide input on the rifles and the setups you used in the field?
At the command, quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit. Okay. Travis shot Kelsey. Travis is not Kelsey, 89, says, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you don't shoot your own guys on ops.
Don't shoot your own guys. It's pretty important rule.
Yeah, I would think so.
Train is the answer.
Yeah,
Train.
yeah. Okay, Choi Soo-hoon says, what are your thoughts on the Remington 416 handguard and how widespread were they in the teams?
After my time,
Okay.
I never used one.
Okay.
It looked better to me. The couple ones I handled, it looked way better
Looked
than
cool.
the 416 one.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, better form.
Functional,
fit,
sure, yeah. Okay, Chair Mahalo 19 says, any out of the ordinary commercial stuff that you purchased or commercial firearms that you used at the command? Not really. Eric Weimer, if you could do life over again without going in the military, what would you want to do?
Fly.
Okay. Military stuff or civilian? What, or does it matter?
Well, I think that said without going in the military. If
Well,
it
he
was just a
specifically
different
said
military-
without becoming a soldier.
Yeah, flight jets.
Okay, very cool. Any favorite that you would have wanted to fly?
Raptors.
Okay, yeah, that's cheating. That's
coolest.
everybody's favorite.
The coolest
Yeah.
plane out there.
What night vision you used? We covered that. Were you experimenting with 300 blackout? We covered that. 417. How was it employed and was it used? We covered that. Okay, so thoughts on the Mark 25, the P226, and did you ever carry it in combat and on deployment?
The 226?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of covered that.
Every time.
Every time. Were you happy with the gun though? Like 226 wise, did you guys have issues with them or fairly?
It's a very, very reliable gun,
Okay.
accurate gun. I would never want one. I mean, it's just
Okay.
it's twice as hard to shoot
Yeah.
as a striker fired
Because
pistol.
being hammer fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I shoot Vulture PDPs now.
Yeah.
I love them. They're so,
So
way
much
better
better.
gun than that. Yeah.
Did you happen to see any striker fired stuff kind of coming online at the time, like Glocks or anything like that, like while you were in, or was it?
The unit guys had Glocks.
Okay.
We did not.
Okay. Was there any early red dot use on the 226?
Not during my time.
Okay. Most overrated weapon system and most underrated weapon system.
416 overrated.
Okay. Easy.
Underrated. I don't know if saws are not underrated, but they're amazing.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Any thoughts on 416 handguards? We already covered that. What was the most reliable optic that you were ever issued? And let's split this into two. Let's do red dot and glass separately.
T1s
Okay.
and probably 2.5 to 10s.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
any of the Night Force glass.
Yeah,
is just
it's
good.
solid.
Yeah.
DEVGRU says, has the CNVDT been used frequently in past operations? I think that's a thermal
CNDVTs.
clip
yeah.
on. Okay.
Yeah, good clip on.
Good, yeah. Used on 416s or,
All of the above.
okay. In front of like 2.5 to 10s?
I never used it that way.
Okay.
I believe that one you can use as a standalone as well.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I feel like this person is either cheating or knew who I was interviewing because they said, thoughts on the Walther PDP?
I would not have one on my hip right now if I didn't think it was good.
You didn't love it.
I very much enjoy shooting the PDPs.
Very cool. Kit that you, this is from the Kawizats I can't read these. Kit that was carried that ended up being unnecessary.
I never used water purification pills.
Okay.
I always had them on me.
Okay. Because you filtered water some other way,
I just
or
figured
you just
if we were stuck, had to remain over days someplace
Yeah.
and drink nasty water,
Yeah.
it would be a good thing to have.
Okay. All right. Interloper _ says, without breaking any NDA, what was something that you tested and evaluated that seemed ridiculous to you?
I mean, we exoskeletal.
Oh,
Shoot, it's
okay.
pretty cool.
Okay.
Like, but it didn't seem ridiculous. It just
Yeah.
seemed like this is crazy.
This is crazy. This is nuts. It's a sci-fi movie in real life. All right. Well, that's all I got.
Awesome.
Bill, I seriously cannot thank you much. I cannot thank you enough for coming on and doing this with me. It's great to see you again. It's an honor to have you here. Episode 1, the pilot episode. I think I even forgot to start recording. So good thing we had backup mics. So the audio.
We can do it again.
Yeah. We'll just repeat the whole thing over. But yeah, seriously, thank you for coming out here doing this. I appreciate it. Please, everybody, go check out AMTAC shooting page, AMTAC Blades page. And does AMTAC Training have its own Instagram at this point?
No, I think we were trying to just funnel guys from
Okay.
AMTAC Shooting and
Okay.
AMTAC Blades
Okay.
to. So if you go to AMTACtraining.com,
AMTACtraining.com.
that's where you sign up
Okay.
for our online program. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's a wrap.
Awesome.
I think I
Josh.
have a clap button here. It was great to see you. And yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome.